Hi, you've reached Graphically Alex, where we talk about all things E followed by the letter D, primarily focusing on BINGE. And I am going to go ahead and talk about this podcast again, which is so annoying. So here we go. Just kidding. No, I just got an annoying comment as I was reading this. All I see is, sorry, but laziness isn't real. Bye, Felicia. Anyways, let's go ahead and continue.
Being like, wow, you guys can get skinny too if you use the simple hack, the simple pill, the simple injection, and you too will be skinny and lose weight. That's where I get upset.
Yeah, and it's also just like at the same time, we're also allowed to like not want to engage in like any conversations about weight loss when we know that's a boundary that we have to have in order to not like relapse in our eating.
I've broken mutuals with people who have all of a sudden.
So, if you're like a second away from that, you're not recovered at all. Like, let's be very, very clear about that. I would even argue that you're not out of it at all. So, 0% out. It wouldn't even be a relapse, it'd just be a continuation. Because to get there, just from hearing somebody else talk about their weight, is insane. So, relapse doesn't occur just because somebody talked about that. It occurs because something very triggering happens. In order to relapse, you'd have to get out or you'd have to stop. And you'd have to typically have like a big structural change to your life. For example, for me, when I relapsed terribly in 2018, I was still in it, but it had been a little bit in remission in 2017, where I wasn't as bad. It had kind of slipped down quite a bit. But at the end of 2017, going into 2018, I started a job that was an abusive job. And I started a relationship with somebody who's like a gaslighter, basically. Somebody that drove me nuts around that time too. And then I also had like attachment style issues and all these different things that were all activated. And I've told you guys many times that I have dealt with daddy issues. That's a large part of my origin to my toxic ritualistic. So attachment style can be lumped up in that. And it was very much a thing at that time. So it was something somewhat relevant to the original trigger, but also the daily stressors and sort of pressure cooker situation of the job was also a problem, combined with getting out of a period of unemployment where I was very, 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 very broke, to then having expendable income with said job. So you can see it's a whole system, right? So you have attachment style / origin trigger. You have stress, daily stressful, anxiety boosting job, and then disposable income. And that's how relapse occurred. And it was very severe. It was a super bad one, basically, which I feel like if you guys have had the issue, you know people have had it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You see how that three-pronged thing could be a huge thing. That is something that triggers relapse. I had a couple of temptations. I've talked about it in April for quite a few years. So in 2023, I got dumped. That was a huge trigger. Seems like obvious reasons. In 20, like just talking about it. In 2024, I was losing my job, or I was getting to a point where my other job was really falling off, to a point where I didn't know if I could do my activism anymore. It was starting to be in question, and I had to make a decision, which I ended up deciding to go full time at that time. But it was very, very terrifying for me, my sense of financial security, my sense of security in general. But I knew that it would just make it worse, basically. And at the time, I was watching Mr. Snowflake's take on Amberlyn Reed, like his whole like documentary, The Shaped by the Algorithm. And I was like, I can't go back to that. So I didn't. 2023, though, when that happened, I really thought I was going to go back to it. But I didn't. I had dealt with enough stressors, like financial terror, I guess you could call it, in 2022 with that inflation and poverty and these kind of things. We almost lost our place in 2022 in May of that year. So there was just like a lot of triggers that I had already dealt with outside of the TR in 2022 and 2021. And I had enough like strength in my recovery that I could handle the big one, you know, because that was a big one. I also kind of knew the relationship was dying in 2022, so it might have helped a little bit that I kind of knew it was coming. But, you know, I love that me and Taylor had to break up at the same time. That was kind of interesting. But anyways, so I feel like I was a little bit lucky in that I was set up well for the massive trigger in 2023. 2025, I was also tempted, but from the reductive side. So that'll get you too. You have to be careful. Remember, it's not an addiction. It doesn't just go one way. It can go the other way too. So abstinence is not always the answer. That's also the TR, which people never remember that it's multipolar. So in 2025, I had an incident with a plane. That one was actually in March. The Ides of March. I'm just kidding. It wasn't the Ides. It was the end of March. The cursed Aries season. Just kidding. It seemed like I always had a trigger in Aries season for some reason. I don't know why. But anyways, I was on a plane and it was the worst delay ever. It was like the American Airlines horror story. And I was stuck at LAX forever. I ended up getting stuck in Charlotte, which was horrifying. And it was so late that I couldn't get anything to eat that night. And then I had to get up early the next day and like just get on the plane like right in the morning. It was just horrible. It was horrible, but basically I didn't have access to FOOD. And it was very triggering to me at the time. And so I ended up overdoing it when I got back, and I was pissed and I wanted to be overly reductive, and I said no. So you have to keep that in mind too. But those were the kind of moments where I was tempted. That one wasn't that big of one, to be honest. The other two were like worse for sure. But you see how it's like, you know, the plane thing, it's like lack of control, lack of access to it, right? I didn't have control over my consumption at the time. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see how that could be triggering? So it was very like weird. So it's really those kind of things. It's not a conversation about weight. Like, can we just be real about it? It's more than that. It's typically a situation involving control, a situation involving food, a situation that's involved in the origin of your toxic ritualistic issue, or a lifestyle shift, something drastic changing. You know, it would be something like that. It'd be something big, like something shocking too. So like if somebody suddenly unalives in your life, that could be a huge trigger. It's not going to be somebody talking about weight. That is stupid. If that's enough to get you all weird, you're not even out of it at all, period. It's not even in remission. It's not even under the surface. You're just like full on in it. Because I personally believe that once you're out, once you no longer believe in it at all, I don't know if you can really go back, because it's just kind of, it's like you can't close Pandora's box, so to speak. Like you can't make yourself believe in it again once you don't. But if you still believe in it, even a little, then you could go back. And that's why I'm worried about people that push the food addiction narrative so much, because it's a sign to me that you're not out completely. It's like a gateway to it. It makes me nervous when I hear it. But it's like one of those beliefs of the TR is still allowed. And if you feel like you could go into bingo over that, it makes me nervous as like a recovery advocate. I'm just like, oh gosh. But in general, it's something big, you know, it's like a big thing. And sometimes relapse can just be like becoming more severe too. So it's not actually relapse, it's a deterioration or a worsening of the condition, which can also happen too. So I think the point that I'm trying to make here is it is ridiculous for them to say that. It is beyond stupid. It's something big that happens. It's not a conversation. That is a manipulation tactic. That is them trying to control what people say around them. They are still in it. So that's you being controlling as a part of being in the TR. That's a problem. That's not okay. You're still deeply in it. It is zombie behavior. It is zombie activity.
Sudden started posting before and afters being like, this is when I was fat and now I've lost 100 pounds, just because that's not content I want to see. That's something that, as somebody who has been in recovery from an eating, that's triggering content, and I just don't really enjoy it, and I don't want to see that.
Now, I can agree that it's triggering. It could be, and by triggering, I mean it makes her anxious. So it causes anxiety. It's kind of like you feel nervous. It makes you nervous. That's typically what they mean when they're talking about triggering. It means it makes me anxious. So when they hear these conversations, they're like, oh, I don't like it. Oh, they don't like it. They don't like hearing real conversations about downsizing, weight normalization. They don't like their identity being questioned. They don't like their belief system being questioned when it comes to the toxic ritualistic and all those things. So they're very like, you know, and that's what basically what that is, which I can understand that. But I will still always advocate that you need to get to a place where those are no longer triggers. So you need to get to a place where you can hear somebody talk about weight and it's not a trigger for you, because you need to become normal in terms of this issue. Like, you get over it. You realize that that's not actually valid. So like, for example, when people would notice that I had downsized in public, as I live in a small town, it would make me anxious. Back in 2024, I would have like an anxiety spell after. I'd be like, you know, I'd kind of feel like that after. And that was still kind of like a legacy of the TR. But when the trigger came up, I accepted it and dealt with it in the moment. And I said, thank you, basically. And then I calmed myself down outside of the TR. So I calmed down without BINGE, without body obsession, without being overly reductive. I just thought through it and was like, it's fine, da da da. You're going to be fine. It's not that big of a deal. Now, if it happens, I don't even get anxious. So it's like, you have to kind of work through that. But I understand it if it is triggering, because it's a part of you letting that go, basically. But you see, you need to let it go. A lot of people hold on to those things forever because they don't ever want to be completely rid of the TR, because it's like their best friend. It's like a relationship or something. It's really weird. And people don't understand that. But when you're in it, you treat it like that. So a lot of these beliefs, they're like something, it's almost like you feel like it keeps you warm at night or something, but it doesn't. It's obviously really bad for you. But again, you're kind of Delulu in it a little bit.
On my social media feed,
My therapist has like repeatedly said that she thinks that GLP-1 usage could be like one of the classifications or like one of the symptoms of using the DSM-5 in the next few years. And I completely buy that.
on our cast,
I think it could be in terms of possibly Mia. I think that would be somewhat relevant to that. That would make sense depending on the circumstances, right? If they meet the criteria in general. it could be the use of a substance for that. So it'd be kind of in that vein, or like an aspect of that one for sure.
Cass Elliot video on Instagram specifically, a lot of people were trying to tell me that Cass Elliot and Karen Carpenter did not die.
Because especially if it's purely for vanity, or you're not even obese, like there's no real medical reason for you to use it. You know, there starts to be a question. I do think it could be abused within BINGE as well, but that would be more like misusing the medication, not using it properly as prescribed, that kind of thing. I could see people in BINGE being neglectful of it, or intentionally manipulating their use to time it around BINGEs, which would be horrible for you and very risky. So I'm very concerned even about people in BINGE taking it if they're not aware that they have that issue. Remember, it's not a cure for it. It can just become a part of it. It can become a tool of it. So you have to be really careful. If you have to take it for diabetes, I always tell you guys, just separate it from your weight and your mind. Just say, it's for my diabetes. It's for my diabetes. And then it'll be fine. You'll get over it. You won't abuse it. So that is a way, like you have the power to do that, where you can just compartmentalize it. But other than that, like, be aware that when you do stop BINGing, if you're severe, you could have psychological effects from that too. So I would say don't blame that on Ozempic. I've seen people have crazy nightmares, weird like identity issues, ideations, even things like that. I experienced all those just from no longer playing bingo. So just be aware that that can happen. Okay, and I'm talking severe with that, okay? If you're not as severe, it might not happen, but you might just get very depressed, things like that. So listless, anhedonic. So that can all happen if you're not engaging in the TR. So just be aware of that too. And obviously, I always advocate really pay attention to any symptoms you may have that are, if their side effects are too bad, then you need to stop. So a lot of people in the TR, they'll commit to it even if they're having horrible side effects, or they'll lie about it. Don't ever lie about it. Don't commit to it if it's causing horrible side effects. Those are some guidelines the auntie's giving. If you ever lie about it, or you feel like you have to lie about it, that is very TR. I just want you to know that. So it's like, why? Weird. Okay. Especially if there's all this anxiety around it and you have a TR issue, you should not be lying about it at all. At all. That is a red flag.
That they died from heart attacks, which is typically how death occurs. I did some research and...
Well, sure, and BINGE is one, and being super morbidly obese can often be a complicating factor of BING, leading to heart attacks.
Dieting is like one of the top indicators that
blinkety-blank behaviors, and in particular dieting, are among the most common risk factors. So no, dieting in and of itself is not a risk factor. There's so many people that diet that don't have it. So it's more so like, I would say within BINGE, it's BINGing and like sudden upsizing that then leads to dieting. That is a risk factor. So like when you went up, basically, if we're talking bingo, I'm of the belief it's BINGE first, then diet. So, which that's typically what they're talking about. I don't know all the nuances of like the other types, but from what I've heard from those of you guys who have dealt with the reductive, it was never like about diet culture. It was more so about taking something that was stated and taking it very far, basically. Or basically trying to find control. It's like a way of getting control. It becomes about more than that, basically. So anyways, or it is more than that, basically, at the start.
That you have developed or are...
And then within Mia, I would say playing bingo is very much involved. So I would say if you're playing bingo, that is probably the development of the toxic ritualistic for many people, basically.
Going to develop, because a lot of people were trying to argue with me and say that it's just dieting and that dieting can be done responsibly, and that doesn't
It
mean
can.
that you haven't eaten.
It is all the time.
And while that in a way could be true, it's
In a way? What do you mean?
definitely an indicator that you're going to develop one.
After
No, it's not. It's not that common.
I did a very, very hardcore program at Columbus Park in New York City, which I would love to one day touch on like their protocol because I think it's wonderful. Something I've had to work through is knowing whether or not to be like strict about my allergies because I don't want to relapse in my eating disorder. And so like
Okay, well, that's insane. Like, you're not out of it. Dead ass, you are not out of it, if that's even a question. If you have to avoid certain foods due to a medical reason, you have a physically based, grounded reason for why. It should not even factor into the TR at all because you have an actual reason. If it's just like some weird thing or it's like very anxious, there's not really a reason for it, and you're just saying that because you feel it in your heart, then I'm like, okay, like let's be a little skeptical here and let's be open to shifting it if it's a problem. But I mean, like for me, I personally, I don't consider seed oils food. I just don't. So I try my best to avoid it. I think it's just horrific, basically. And I ate enough for 10 lifetimes prior. So I've done my time. I'm done. Over it. But in terms of like, there were times where I would avoid any kind of grain because I couldn't personally handle it. I think it was too much for like my insulin. It was just too much. Or I'd feel like really like weird. Like if I had rice, I'd be like insomniatic and stuff, you know, like it was too much. Or if I had corn, like there's, I think like the fat profile in the corn being hypo, it was just too much and it would give me insomnia or it would make me feel like weird, basically. Or like I could not tolerate oatmeal, for example. I couldn't tolerate oats very well at all when I was more insulin resistant. But that's more like, okay, this food makes me feel weird. It causes me to feel super anxious or basically dysregulated, I think, because of the insulin aspect. So I can't handle this right now. So I'm going to avoid it for now, but I ended up having it later. So I plan on having corn more often, probably as soon as I'm like more stabilized, but I have oatmeal like all the time and I have rice like all the time. And there's other foods that I avoided from my hypothyroid recovery that I don't really have to avoid anymore. So I'll have them sometimes, but I just don't have like tons and tons and tons of things, you know what I mean? So it's like you have to just look at your medical stuff going on and what you can tolerate at the time. And if there is a physical reason, like insulin resistance, for example, that's a real thing, you know? That's not a joke. If you're talking like hypothyroidism, that's a real thing. So like I can't tolerate gluten personally. I can't, or at least I couldn't. I am working on trying it again soon. But again, I'm getting used to the oats and the rice. You know, like I'm starting slow, but I do plan on trying bread again soon. But like I would have like a full body reaction when I'd have bread before. So it's like, is that TR? No, there's a reason. You know what I'm saying? You have to like look at the reasons you have. However, just because something isn't good for you doesn't mean it's bad for everybody all the time. And that's basically my stance, you know, on things. And even like with seed oil consumption, I do believe the dose is the poison. If it's very little, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's really when you get into like fried foods and things like that where I'm like, ooh, you know, like I don't think I'd have French fries at a restaurant if it's fried in that. Like I don't think I'll ever do that again. But there have been times where I've had salad and the salad dressing likely has it, and I've just had it like at a restaurant with a steak, you know, kind of thing. So I think it's just, you have to like make certain decisions basically, but, and then everybody's going to have different standards. So I feel like if you're not super controlling over what somebody else is doing, and you're kind of reasonable and you understand that everything's a shade of gray, then I feel like that's not at all TR. But if you just avoid something in general, like as I said, I will probably avoid seed oils the rest of my life, likely due to hypothyroidism or a propensity to it. I never want it again, like ever, ever, ever. I want to do everything I can to avoid it. And I'm not having the damn oils, you know, I'm not going to have them. Like I'm never going to have something fried at a restaurant like that. I'm just not. And it's like, I don't want to be hypo again. No, thank you. It's kind of like, I just would never become an alcoholic. I'm not interested in drinking all the time. Why? Because I don't want to be hypo again. Same thing with weed. I don't want to be hypo again. You know, it's like, gosh, like, you know, so it's like there's certain lifestyle things I am not interested in ever doing because of my experience with hypothyroidism. I don't want to do anything that's bad for my thyroid because I never want to go through that shit again. It was horrible. So it's like, that's my stance. But again, there's a physical reason, you know, it's like, if it's physically grounded in reality, then it's not TR.
Yeah, doing a diet.
It's really hard. Like my friend is allergic
No, it can also be binging, which you guys seem to ignore.
to gluten, and she's talked about like how she's thought about going vegetarian, but being vegetarian and gluten free, especially when you have a history of disordered eating,
Don't do it, diva.
it's hard. And that's one of the reasons I've had people over the years in my comments
I've done it before.
ask
I've
me
done everything though. You guys should know that. I've done everything before.
why I'm not vegan because
I
I'm
remember there was this phase, like I think when I visited Australia like a long ass time ago, back when Auntie was young, and I did the vegan gluten-free diet while I was on the trip. And I think it was like because I was so nervous about going abroad that I just started it because it was like a way to feel more in control, basically, which is super TR. So I mean, gosh, if it's literally like you're having an anxiety attack over something, and so you want to start one because of that, that is TR. That's weird. So I'm telling you, it was weird and it really overcomplicated the trip. And then I just ended up giving in at one point, and I just had like a massive amount of meat, which is super TR too, because it was very like, you know. But that was the best tasting meat I'd ever had in my life. No, I'm just kidding. That's horrible to say. Don't ever be like that. It's not good for you. Horrible for you. I don't even really want to joke about it. But when you do that to your brain, that's the brain fry. Okay, like you're introducing brain fry within bingo. So within bingo, gosh, I haven't talked about this in a while. Within bingo, there's oftentimes, especially when you're more severe, like I was, because I was a near-death diva. When you're very severe, you will avoid certain nutrients and stuff. In part, sometimes it can be because you feel like if you combine things, you'll unalive faster. So it's like a delusional like cope of like, oh, I can bingo as long as I'm not having carbs and fat at the same time. Oh, I can bingo as long as I'm, vegan or whatever. Like that can be part of it. But it can also be like when you don't have certain nutrients, then when you later bingo on them, there is like a feeling of euphoria, which it's like the closest thing to like shrugs, within the TR, I would say, but it comes from your own body, and it's like through abusing the system, and it causes massive brain fry. It's really bad for you too. But Auntie would do that often, but they won't acknowledge that that's a part of bingo, but it is. So especially at a severe level, because they never talk about this, but like in order to play bingo that much, like I did, you have to be like really doing some reduction too, or you can't sustain it. So I don't know about her, but the other one probably doing stuff like that. Probably.
I'm mostly vegetarian. That's too much restriction for me. As someone who had orthorexia. Another ad, Anna rides around in a silk slip as a voiceover calls her the ultimate comeback. Or she drives a convertible by the beach asking us, of course, if we like her body, before she asks whether we'd like to party. Enter Trim Spa's $1 Million Makeover Challenge, and you could win a chance to party like Anna Nicole at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel. Keep that location in mind.
Seminole.
Hollywood, Florida, baby.
Woohoo.
Where good things happen.
We're gonna host an event there, guys. Keep that location in mind, listeners.
She even started wearing a necklace that spelled out Trim Spa, baby, in rhinestones.
Oh, and also for the record, because I want to be clear, you'd have to like reduce for weeks. I think when I went vegan and then I felt that feeling after having meat, I was vegan for like 12 weeks. So it's like a whole ass thing. You know, when we're talking TR, we're talking toxic, ritualistic. Okay, we're talking a ritual where it's planned out weeks in advance and all this shit. So that's how severe Auntie was. And I did it really bad with keto. Super horrible with keto. It was horrible. And I would feel such a euphoria from carbs. But when I didn't do keto anymore and stuff, then I never felt that again. So it's TR brain fry.
I do think the addition of baby is really cunty.
Promote diet pills in a cunty way, guys, and Cat Lion will love it.
Okay, it's just if she's gonna do it.
I understand what you're saying. It's like if she's gonna do it, it's a cunty way to do it.
Yeah.
This particular interview she did in February of 2007 with Larry King, I think is really interesting, especially given our discussion that we just had about how you can be a victim of anti-fatness and also perpetrate it, and just kind of how her weight loss kind of like it had nothing to do with health, because we're so often told when we're fat that we need to lose weight for our health, or people say that they lost weight for their health. But this is not what Anna Nicole was doing.
She didn't even want to cover it up.
And also keep in mind that she was a spokesperson for Trim Spa and promoting this to other people. Larry King asked Anna Nicole why she lost weight. She said, "What got me motivated? To be honest, I really got tired of the fat jokes, you know? I mean, what really upset me the most was Howard Stern when he got me on his show, and then, you know, he got me there and he's like, okay, Anna Nicole, I know you weigh 300 pounds and we got a scale here. We want you to get on the scale." And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe he's doing this to me. And he had a bunch of callers call in and be really rude and say, oh, Anna, you know, get on the scale. I'll give you a bunch of jewelry. We know you weigh 300 pounds. And he just let all the mean callers in instead of scanning them like he should have. He let all these mean people really hurt my feelings and were really hurtfully rude. And he just totally went way over the top, and that really hurt bad. To which Larry King responds, "But it also motivated you, right?"
Jesus.
Way to display empathy.
So I think it's interesting that Anna Nicole would say that. But I mean, if that was her story, that's her story. There's a lot of people that say that. I will just say that it's a little risky of a drive or like a motivation within downsizing. It typically won't stick. I've talked about intrinsic motivation a lot throughout my process when I downsized on this channel. There were plenty of times where I felt like I didn't have any support, or where I was alone, and it was really just my own accountability to myself, basically, that kept me going. So I will just say, for a lot of people, the judgment of others is not going to stick with you when you're by yourself at night. You're not going to give a fuck about it. So I don't think it's like a strong foundation at all. I think something like your health is a much better foundation, absolutely, and that will stick through if you care about what other people think or not. I didn't personally care, so that never was that motivating to me anyways, but I wanted to live, so...
Empathy, Larry. Anna Nicole responded, "No, not at the time, but it stuck in my head. It stuck in my head. It did stick in my head. He hurt me. It depressed me."
Yeah, she probably... No. TR adjacent, mild TR, something going on. So the obsessing over it is a bad sign. It's a bad sign.
Is what it did. It depressed me more. But
like,
then
I get it. Like, going through a lot of hate and stuff, especially at that time, it was a different time. It wasn't as common, or it wasn't like seen all the time like it is now. It was like brand new. And I think that would have been hard regardless of what it was. So I can totally see that, like, because it was totally new to be like publicly embarrassed like that.
then I heard a lot more, and all the fat
other
jokes.
than like legit, like total celebrities, but I'm just saying, like, having the callers come in and like call in and stuff, like, I don't know. I think you guys know what I'm saying. It was kind of new. It was like that kind of stuff was just starting to happen. It's like when America's Next Top Model had that girl in the cheating scandal, and then everybody knew about it, and then people were like harassing her, and they kept bringing it up in interviews and stuff. Like, that stuff, like, she was really young, and it was like really crazy to have that level of hate. Like, it hadn't really happened before. So I can understand her obsessing even outside of the TR, is what I'm trying to say. Given the time and the context, it's a little bit tricky to tell for me, where I'm like, I don't know, you know. But I do think she could have had a milder issue. I think with her, she just had so many things going on that it's kind of like, I don't see like a strong, severe TR issue, you know, in her. I just see like there's some subclinical or barely clinical things going on, and then everything else going on, you know, which there's plenty of stuff going on.
Jokes that everybody's saying, and then, you know, I really didn't care. But then I looked in the mirror, and I'm just like, I am fat, you know? I am fat. So I just, you know, started losing weight. He basically asks her why she got fat, and she said that it was due to depression from reliving the trials from her husband's death. Quote, "That's why I got fat twice, and nobody understands that.
No,
Nobody."
There's something going on. It's giving a little bit of TR. This is for sure. I just don't know if she was BINGing. Like, I don't know if she was really doing that. But again, there's a line, right? So, because people don't understand, like, that is a specific thing. If she was just overeating a lot, then it could be, like I said, I'd call it TR adjacent, subclinical. So it's like, like, maybe she was every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? It depends. It's tricky. So you have to see, like, she's close to it if she wasn't in it, you know? It's basically what I would say. But I'm not seeing enough to be like, she definitely did. I'm seeing like she was close to it.
Cares because they think I'm a gold digger, and it's not true.
But the obsessing over it, and then the fact that the trial was triggering something, maybe that was enough to start at least a mild issue, especially if it was later in life. From what I've observed a lot, it seems like people that start as an adult, it tends to be more mild too, rather than when they're a teenager. So, or like a kid. So I think it could be something going on, because that is a lot. And then like the scrutiny and stuff, I could see that being really stressful. And it might have gotten her into the TR, basically. So, yeah.
I loved my husband, and I had to relive that.
You have a trigger, you have weight fluctuation, you have obsession, And then you have like weird stuff that she's saying about what she used. So I'm like, it's giving TR. So when I think about it, I'm like, I think it's a mild case, but it's still probably a case.
Over twice. I had to keep reliving this court thing. You know, it depressed me. It depressed me to hear the awful things that I had to hear.
But you can see, like, when I look at what she's saying, it's like right on the line. Because I'm not quick to throw that out there. Because a lot of what she's saying in general, when it comes to weight, it sounds normal. So I don't see anything that's like super crazy. But when you look at the behaviors and stuff, it's like, you know, there's level 1 zombie. You know what I mean? It's like, it's giving runner. It's giving she's close to it. Or maybe she was just starting turn, you know, kind of thing. I use The Last of Us zombies for severity, by the way, if you're probably like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? That's what I'm talking about. A level 1. But definitely level 1, for sure. Definitely a zombie. I just don't know if she would meet clinical standards based on that.
It hurt, and you know, nobody cares. I just heard crap all the time about me. When he asked, did health play any part? Were you worried a little about your health in order to lose weight? She said, no, I wasn't worried
That's TR.
about my health at all. I wasn't worried about my health, losing the weight.
I'll give her the stamp for that. There you go. TR stamp on her forehead. That is a very bad sign. So that is a huge TR red flag. No, I wasn't worried about my health at all. If you hear somebody say that, massive red flag. I wasn't worried about my health. Downsizing the weight. Very bad sign. So I'll give her the stamp.
Wait, I'm kind of worried about it now because
I needed to wait till I heard something definitive. That is definitive. See?
To gain a little bit more. And Larry King eventually asks her about Trim Spa and how it works, which really displays the involved in her weight loss and how normalized it is in our anti-fat diet culture riddled society to lose weight at any cost. It makes you not hungry. I don't know.
So I don't know that it is normalized to downsize at any cost, but certainly within the zombie horde, yes. So within people that have the toxic ritualistic going on, definitely.
Shrinks your stomach or something and it makes you not really want to eat. Now I have to force myself to eat. It's bad because it's not bad. Let me take that back. It's great. It's a miracle drug because I've lost all this weight and it's really great when you lose the weight. When you lose the weight, I just take like 2 little pills a day now just to maintain because, you know, it makes you not want to
This is sounding more TR.
Eat, and you know you need to eat, so you just cut down on it. All you do is cut down on it to maintain, and then
I think my biggest concern though is I don't care about my health. That I'm like, ooh, yeah, she's in it.
You're fine. And then Anna Nicole talks about how she wasn't hungry more and she just ate what people made her eat, which I think is really reminiscent, especially being a fat content creator. It reminds me a lot of the way celebrities and plus size influencers talk now, or how they're going through weight loss now, specifically using.
But you might be projecting too. I try to listen. I don't like just throw out the TR stamp, like just at anything. I think you guys could see that with Anna Nicole. I was like, I'm not quite there. I'm not quite there until I saw that big red flag. Then I was like, ooh, because when people talk about it, you can tell. But you have to they'll say something blatant like that. Like, I didn't care about my health at all. It's like, ooh, that's bad. So it's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? That's like a dead giveaway that there's an actual issue. But you have to look at everything together, right? So it's what she said. It's the fluctuation. It's the promotion of the substance, so to speak. It's all of it. And then the obsession that she was talking about too, where she's like, people were talking about it. And I looked in the mirror, so you can kind of see all of the aspects to it. And hopefully, if you have never had an issue, you can see why I needed that one definitive statement. Otherwise, it could have just been barely beneath it. But it's still bad if it's subclinical. It's never good. But I needed to see like a truly DIS ordered thought, basically, which that is, because everything else was kind of on the line. But I'm just saying I don't just throw it out there, basically, because I think most people don't have it. So, yeah.
Using GLP-1s for weight loss, everything is connected.
It unfortunately is. It also is like, just in that interview, she sounds so exhausted. The fact that she can't even escape this fucking conversation, like, even when she's not fat now, like, it's still, tell us about when you were fat and all these things. And it's just.
Well, wasn't she promoting it though?
If you're a fat celebrity or a fat content creator, people will be like, why do you make everything about being fat? But people already do that for you.
Not necessarily. There's plenty of people that have hobbies. So, no. I mean, I did other stuff online when I was huge, and I didn't talk about it that much, and it would come up a little bit, but it's like the same thing where it'd be like people would hate on my voice or something. It's like, do I do a channel about my voice? No. But does it come up all the time? Actually, no. I'm actually kind of surprised it doesn't. Which I'm not like mad about it or anything. I'm glad, but I'm sure if I like blew up on YouTube, it would come up a lot again for a while. But it's like, it's just that kind of a thing. It's like something about your appearance. It's like, even if you did a video or about how you come across, even if you did a video where it's like, just like as a woman, you did a video where your eye makeup was bad or something, or like it was smudged or something, you'd get like 50 bajillion comments about how your eye makeup was smudged. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that just happens. It just does. So, but in general, like if your whole channel isn't about being fat, then it doesn't really come up nearly as often as they're acting.
Don't bring up being fat in a video. You bet your bottom dollar I got somebody in the comments reminding.
A lot of people have issues with people bringing up being fat and then lying about it and saying all this weird stuff and getting all TR about it. That's the problem. Okay, I'm going to just stop it here for now. I feel like I've said enough that I'm going to have to edit to hell. So, and they've said enough that I'm going to have to edit to hell, so I'm going to leave it here. I will get back to you guys with more. I will finish this probably next week. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Have a good week. Bye.